Greetings. This is another episode of my experience with the Venerable Bhanté Dharmawara, Mahatma, Samdaj Priya, Mahatera, depending on your point of view. So, the doctor's in the house because this was my experience of bringing Bhanté to a revered teacher of mine and mentor, who I had the privilege of starting as an acolyte and ending as one of his doctors, and that was Dr. Ramamurti Mishra. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Mishra. Cross-trained in Benares, in Ayurveda as well as Western medicine, he progresses through European and American academic medicine in order to write Yoga Sutras, the textbook of yoga psychology, self-awareness, self-knowledge, a commentary on Patanjali Sutras, and he acquired places of residence where people could practice his suggestions, ranging from Sanskrit all the way to lifestyle, what we would today call epigenetics and how to save your life in the 21st century. But he was truly a pioneer. Open-minded, he knew who he was, and he evolved over the time that I knew him, including changing his exact name. Sometimes he was Swami Ramamurti Mishra, Swamiji. Sometimes he was Dr. Mishra. That was relatively early. Sometimes he was Guruji, which means the one who evokes the true teacher from inside of you. And he, in my experience, was able to catalyze that as well or better than most anybody I had contact with over the years when I was skeptical and through the years when I've been an acolyte of this so-called spiritual science point of view that says mind, body, and spirit should work together on the middle path, as the Buddhists say, the middle path, to awareness, self-knowledge, and eventually the full enlightenment that gets you off the wheel. Okay. So I'm a student of Dr. Mishra's, and Bhanté and I are living together, and there's an opportunity for me to bring Bhanté to Dr. Mishra at Ananda Ashram in Monroe, New York. His center about an hour north and on the west side of the Hudson River, near Tuxedo, New York, near Tarrytown. Very interesting place to be, but a place where someone had donated an estate, that is a main house and some derivative buildings, as well as a large parcel of land, to his work. Because he had helped, inspired, motivated them in some way or other that I do not know. But anyway, I have been Mishra's student, and I bring Bhanté to Dr. Mishra because I want them to meet. And Dr. Mishra, who was very generous in his spiritual accomplishments, Dr. Mishra immediately says, "Oh, Bhanté's in charge." And Bhanté says to Dr. Mishra, "Oh, well, thank you very much, but I'm the new kid here. I really want to just kind of walk around." So Mishra says, "Okay, everyone's going to follow Bhanté while he walks around on the grounds of Ananda Ashram for the next several days, because Mishra is sure, and it was true, that it would take Bhanté a while before he wanted to do something other than assimilate his experience of the place." I will tell you, for the few who actually followed Bhanté around, including myself, for that time, it was a very interesting, meaningful, mostly silent, not all, but mostly silent experience on the grounds of Ananda Ashram, where you have a lovely sloping hillside going down to a wetlands, where you have a large set of buildings and a home, and then what I assume was originally servants' quarters, but that's where Dr. Mishra lived, at a main building, which was where he taught, that's where he gave darshan, that's where the following experience happens. Dr. Mishra has said that everyone's going to follow Bhanté while Bhanté is present, and after that they're going to go back to following Dr. Mishra, but in the meantime even Dr. Mishra is going to follow Bhanté. Okay, pretty high praise from my point of view. So what happens is people line up in the main building to see Bhanté privately, And this means Bhanté, myself, a couple of other senior people from the ashram. You know, you're never alone with anyone like that, nor do they want you to be alone with them. It just creates confusion or misunderstanding. So, a young lady comes in, and she is what's called a yogini or a gopi, which means Vestal Virgin. This means it's not even clear she would know how to conceive a child, let alone be pregnant. Okay. So Bhanté says to her, well, everyone out. And I start to leave because he said everyone. He says, oh, no, the doctor stays. Okay, so I stay. And he says, he leans in very gently and he almost whispers to her, could you be, how you say, pregnant? It was 3 more days before the urine pregnancy test turned positive. When she left, and when no one was present other than Bhanté and myself, I said, excuse me, what did you know? What did you see? How did you make that assessment? And he said, Russ, did you not see the light in her uterus? Obviously, I wasn't paying attention to the right kind of thing, because no, I didn't. He at Ananda Ashram was the kind of Bhanté that I had the privilege of being with for, many moments, which I record over these episodes, one at a time. Dr. Mishra was one of the wisest, one of the most revered people of the 20th century in regard to bringing spiritual science to the larger public. And this was a paradigm shift at a time when the United States government, including people from Richard Milhouse Nixon to Lyndon Baines Johnson to other similar kinds of leaders and political leaders, were very skeptical of whether there was a shadow side, a undermining the American Republic side, undermining the social contract side. Not that I experienced, but I can understand why, how foreign it was to many of them that they thought differently. Dr. Mishra, who, and I'll tell this episode another time, Dr. Mishra actually was accused of manslaughter when he was out of the continent when the event happened. Now, I hope that strikes you as, shall I say, cognitive dissonance, or what the hell is he saying? You cannot commit manslaughter, which means someone died even though it was not intended. You cannot commit manslaughter if you're out of the continent. That's worse than out of the country. How come he was accused by the Department of Justice of the United States under President Nixon of manslaughter when he was out of the continent when the event happened? And then what happened? I will tell that on another episode of this, the sagas of a life well lived. Bhanté Dharmawara Mahatera Mahatma. Some said Mahatma. Some Dashpriya for sure, because that was conferred upon him by Prince Sihanouk, then King of Sihanouk. He was first Prince and then King Sihanouk. And Bhanté actually knew Sihanouk's father. He knew Sihanouk's wife's father and mother. He was from the Belong family, which means he was a courtier and for generations had been advisors / confidants of the leaders of Cambodia. And Dr. Mishra somehow innately, intuitively, directly, by observation within a few minutes, recognized that, as did a surprising number of people in my experience. And this was at a time when Dr. Mishra had over a dozen different places that had been donated to his work: the Yoga Society of New York and Ananda Ashram, the Yoga Society of San Francisco and the work that it was doing, Hawaii, Cleveland, if I remember correctly, and Rochester and Buffalo, New York, and other places all over the country, why would he be accused of manslaughter? Another episode, another time, but this was about introducing Bhanté Dharmawara to Ramamurti Mishra, Dr. Mishra to the Venerable Dharmawara, and how they appreciated each other and what they delivered for and with each other. And it was my privilege in that case to do the introduction, to get out of the way, and to watch what happened, and to be privileged at this point to record very directly, even as the light is glistening in the background, what, from my point of view, happened, and why it's worth remembering as an example to us of the possible, an example to us of bringing together all spiritual science in the service of awareness, self-awareness, self-knowledge, physiology before pharmacology, nature, nurture, and wholeness, that I've learned over the decades, but particularly from this Cambodian Buddhist monk, who many feel was the basis for Yoda in the Star Wars movies. Another saga for another time. May we all be well and be happy.